New Bedford, Mass. What's going on? Welcome to Straight to the Point Sports, another weekly version with my man D Con and myself, Steve Lopes. D Con, what's going on this week?
What's up, Coco? How's everything, man?
You know,
For all you that don't know, that's a side nickname for Steve Lopes. We call him Coco.
no, Derek just likes to have food nicknames for everybody and stuff like that. But anyway, there was a big fight we were all looking forward to last Saturday night, and it sure lived up to expectations.
It sure did. It sure did, man. I was very impressed.
Did you think that it was a better fight than the first time around, or was it pretty much the same, a little different?
I honestly thought it was pretty much the same. Like
a lot of action, both guys scoring.
They both went at it, man. They both threw punches.
So we both thought Bivol won the first fight, right?
Yes.
Yes. Did he do anything different to kind of make the judges feel like he did more this fight? Because I thought it was pretty much a carbon copy.
I think he showed more towards the end, and more towards the end this fight.
He didn't relax and play it safe. Yeah. He stayed aggressive.
He stayed aggressive. Like last fight, I thought he won the fight unanimously, but.
I was trying to figure out what the differences was in their styles. And I think Bivol's the better boxer. And Bertiviev's the Bertiev, yeah.
He's the puncher.
Yeah, because he was like 20-something wins with 20-something knockouts.
He's the puncher, man. Bivol's the only guy that hasn't got knocked out.
Right, because he was like 29-0 with 29 knockouts.
Twice.
Yeah.
But hey. And it looked like Bivol was the smaller guy.
Yeah. But to me, the noticeable thing was I felt Bivol was the better boxer, and he used his boxing skills to stay away from the strength and the big power punch. Because I don't recall seeing anybody really get in trouble where I could say they were hurt.
No.
It was just a lot of good showmanship, a lot of good action by both fighters. I didn't feel like one fighter dominated the other, and when the fight ended, I still wasn't sure how the judges were going to see it.
Yeah,
because after what happened the first time around, I was like, they got to give it to Bivol, or it's going to be a draw.
And the crazy part about it is when they said 114, I went, what the hell? What fight was that, Judge watching? Because that fight was not even close to being 114.
Well, I got the scoring right
here.
What
up, Mr. Cortez?
The final CompuBox the judges
114,
116, 112,
115,
113, and 114, 114.
That's crazy.
Which one of those was the most accurate? Because there's a 4-point difference, I think the 2-point difference. Because I think Bivol won, but I don't think like he dominated.
I think maybe 2 to 3 rounds the most.
Yeah, the 115, 113 seems the more realistic.
But that 114 that's asinine. That dude was not watching the fight.
So you think there was no question that Bivol won the fight? There shouldn't have been any.
In my opinion, yeah.
All right. So they both showed a lot of mutual respect. I could see the frustration on Bertiviev's face when the decision was announced, but I think he accepted it. And right away,
he had to know. Because he was out punched. He was outlanded.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he was a little bit like disappointed, but I don't think he could have been shocked, because I don't think in his heart he thought he did enough to win.
But if you lose the belt, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. And it's your first loss.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I thought the fight was a good fight.
All right. So we kind of see things eye to eye. I think the general public saw it pretty much the same way. There wasn't too much turmoil over the decision.
No.
But what does this mean now? Does it automatically go to a third fight, or do you go to the mandatories?
I believe they already announced that Bivol will be fighting the Mexican Monster, the mandatory.
I saw something like that today, but I couldn't verify the source.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole reason they invited Benavidez down to the fight.
Yep.
There was a handshake deal, like, you're going to get the winner of this fight. We're not going to play games with Alvarez because he doesn't want to really fight none of them dudes.
No, he don't.
He
doesn't want neither one. But let's we got Mr. Tank coming up this weekend. But before we talk about any of that, let's talk about the awful, in my opinion, the awful showing by Shakur.
You think it was awful?
He fought a guy that just rolled out of bed.
They were saying he's an electrician by trade, but he was ranked number 2 or whatever.
But who had no fight with in any time coming. So there's no training. You could be ranked number 2, number 1 if you don't train for a fight, and especially a guy that's supposed to be the cream of the crop. You're gonna get your ass whooped. But for him to go, what do he go? 10 rounds, 11 rounds, and Shakur couldn't put him out.
He put him out in the 9th. But he's not really known as a knockout puncher, and I think he was catching a lot of criticism about that. And because this dude didn't have a big name, but he had a record. I mean, he's ranked. He didn't just come out of nowhere.
But there was no training. He came 2 days before.
There was 2 fights like that, and I think that's very difficult because we couldn't control. 2 fighters came down sick. I don't know if something was going around over there or whatever, but 2 fighters got sick last minute, a couple of days before the fight. They couldn't afford to cancel those fights. That card was stacked. I was looking forward to the original fights all up and down that card.
And did you hear what the IBF did to what's his face, the heavyweight there?
Bacoli? The one that lost?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear what they did to him.
He was ranked in the top 10 because he beat the young kid, Jared.
Yeah, Big Bay Anderson. Yeah.
So because of that fight, IBF took him off any future cards because of that loss.
Did they give a reason?
No, they did, but I'm not positive. But my thing is, the dude took a fight on 2 days' notice. You're gonna punish him for that? But he was supposed to have a fight. I want to say in June. I think it was June, but I'm not positive. But yeah, they took him off the card.
I think you have to give him credit and the guy that fought Stevenson credit for being able to step in on a world-class, top-rated fighter without having any time to prepare. We don't know what time. I mean, they trained, but they weren't in fight shape.
Yeah, exactly.
And they didn't get to train. Just like you say Stevenson looked bad. He prepared for a whole totally different style of fighter. And then all of a sudden, you're in shape, but you have to adapt to a whole new style too.
Yeah.
And, I don't think it was easy on either one of the substitutes that stepped in or for the fighters that fought them, because you prepare 3 months for a certain style of fight. And then you could be fighting for a left-handed dude. Now all of a sudden it's a right-handed dude or a puncher. And now it's a boxer. And they had to do what they had to do to save the card. I thought they could have found somebody better for Stevenson to fight, but maybe they didn't have nobody on deck.
Yeah,
and that's the difference I like with the UFC. They already have a standout that trains the whole time.
I thought that would be the right thing to do, but that's extra money you're paying somebody, because even if you don't fight, you still probably got to pay the guy. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just my opinion. I don't know. I just wasn't.
I missed the earlier fight that I really wanted to see, the Virgil Ortiz.
Yes, I missed that.
Because I keep forgetting that they start so early, and I was actually driving, and then I was in the chair getting a haircut at like 3:00, saying, "Well, the fight says that the main card's going to come on at 6," so I thought that was the early time. They said the main fight's going to come on at 6, and I was like, by the time I got home, the Bivol fight was on, and I missed like the first 2 or 3 rounds, and I was like, "Damn it,
Stomach, what's up, my man?"
Hey, brother Ralph,
man. But yeah, man, I don't think Shakur is ready for Tank.
Well, he definitely called him out. And then there was another name that came up for Stevenson.
Yeah.
But they're friends.
Davis.
No.
Davis. Yeah, last name Davis, I think.
Keyshawn Davis, the kid from Virginia. Yeah, because I get him confused with Frank Martin, because I was like, didn't Keyshawn already lose? No, it was Frank Martin that lost. And he looked good. I don't know where he is in the mix right now, because that's the same division.
I think by him losing the Tank, it dropped him.
You lost to the best fighter in that division, and you looked decent doing it. I mean, he was looking good.
He got TKO'd.
He did, but he went out.
Oh no,
he wasn't getting dominated. He got caught by one of the best punchers in boxing.
I definitely don't take.
But he went in there trying to fight.
I definitely don't take that away from him. But it's just that loss hurts with them other guys being undefeated. So, but that division's tough, man. That division's tough.
I know Stevenson and Davis said they wouldn't fight each other. They've been friends for a while. They happen to be in the same division now. They were going to try. They were like, there's plenty of other boxers. They had both said multiple times they wouldn't fight each other. But then when they pressed Stevenson, he said, send the contract. He said, well, if that's what you want to do, send the contract. And then Davis said, well, I guess send the contract. Yeah. But it seemed like it caught Davis a little off guard. Like, that's not the fight they both want to see next.
I want to see Stevenson fight Pitbull.
Somebody's name just came up with Pitbull, but I think it was Davis.
I know they were talking about it like a couple years ago, and one of them just said no, but I don't know which one it was. But I would like to see that one. I want to see what Stevenson can do against a puncher.
Against somebody that's going to pressure him.
Yes. Because he seems like he pressures everybody.
I think his defense is good enough, but similar to how we criticized Mayweather, nobody wants to see nobody that's a great defensive fighter or somebody that, in order to be successful, they have to get in, hit, and then take off before you hit them. Yeah. Because they're going to say he's running all night. But to me, that's the style that you're successful with, but that's not the style that us paying boxing fans want to see. We want to see people get in there and slug and punch, and that's not Stevenson. Yeah. You know? That's like you playing golf, and I said, "Hey, D-Con, you're gonna play left-handed today." You're gonna, that's not the way I play.
Exactly.
You know, you're gonna shoot pool left-handed. You're gonna wait a minute. Yeah. Well, it's gonna be more exciting for us to watch it. No, that's not me. I gotta play the way I'm comfortable playing, and then it becomes a battle of the wills. Whose will is gonna be greater than the other? But overall, I thought the card lost some of its luster because of the
sickness.
Yeah, the two of them, the two last-minute replacements. But I wanted to finish off the thought about what we were saying in light heavyweight division, that they said Benavidez would fight the Mexican. I mean, he is the Mexican monster. That he would fight Bivol.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for Bertiev? Does he try to fight Canelo, or does I'd like to see some type of Final Four elimination where the top four fighters, like Bertiev, can't just remain inactive and.
I don't know.
Because the winner of them two are going to fight the loser of the last fight, but there's still a lot of clamor for a third fight.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, what's more appealing, a third fight between Bertiev and Bivol, or Bivol fighting Mexican monster?
That's tough because now
they're both high possibilities.
Them two guys are 1-1,
right,
against each other,
and they deserve a third one.
Yes.
But Benavidez needs to fight somebody too.
Benavidez been put off and put off and put off and put off. This is his time.
The only way I want to see that third fight happen is if they guarantee Alvarez has to fight the Mexican monster.
And Alvarez don't want that.
Right, but those are the top four. And they can't.
But he's not even in the 175 category anymore.
He went down to 168.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing about fighting Crawford. And
not for nothing. That Crawford fight's back on, by the way. I know
they had to agree to no rehydration or something.
Like there was like the guy that the Mexican monster fought a couple weeks ago. I can't remember his name. Griffin, I think it was. I can't remember his name, but he's a puncher. He's good.
Oh no. That was another Mexican boxer.
Yeah, I can't remember his
David
name.
Morrell.
Yes, he's good.
He is.
I wouldn't mind seeing him get in the ring against one of them dudes.
I don't think Canelo will fight any of the other guys we named.
Cause
so they have to fight each other in order to get a
Canelo don't stand. In my opinion, Canelo don't stand a chance against any of them, the three. In my opinion.
So for your money, which fight would you like to see next? The Bivol and Benavidez, or the pot three?
Me personally, I'm a Benavidez guy. I like watching him, so I want to see Benavidez get a chance. That's my opinion. But
now, since you mentioned your buddy there, Tank Davis, I know you're an avid fan of him. He's got a nice little fight coming up this week. What I didn't know was the backstory between him and Roach. They fought all through the amateurs. They fought in Golden Gloves. They fought twice in the amateurs. They're familiar with each other, because they're both from the same area.
Well,
Tank owns a victory over him.
Yeah.
And I think the other one might have been like, but I know they're very familiar with each other. Roach doesn't seem intimidated because he's been in the ring with him, but it was a while ago. He fought a different version of Tank Davis.
Yeah, Tank's totally different now.
So, knowing what we know about the familiarity, will he be prepared to give Tank a little bit different fight, or will Tank just be at a different level now than what he remembers and
this is my thing.
dominate?
Like what a lot of people don't realize is Tank is a very smart fighter.
And he doesn't rush. He doesn't go in looking for the knockout. He waits for that opening. When I saw that against Ryan Garcia, that's what really did it with body shots. Like, and everybody, who would have predicted that?
He's such a smart fighter. It's not even funny. Like, even like who was when Devin Haney fought Garcia, Tank was like, does he not watch film? His only punch is the left hook, and Tank stayed away from that. And Devin apparently didn't stay away from that. And
Devin thought either the left hook wasn't as powerful as it really was, or he just thought he couldn't be hurt by it or something. He thought his style would dominate, and he was knocked down a few times. Left every time he was doing all right, and then that left hook would change the momentum, and we'd be like, "Damn, he was just doing good," and then he got caught.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
So, what's your prediction for this week with the Tank fight? How far does it go?
In my opinion, Tank in 6.
I don't know enough about Roach to really. I just know the backstory, but I just have a feeling that he's not going to be intimidated.
I know his one loss that he has was against. Shit, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
is it a mutual opponent?
No, but the dude rough. I think I want to say he knocked him out, and there wasn't even a guy that's a puncher. Can't remember the dude's name.
How long ago was it though?
Not that long ago.
Well, for that fight Saturday, that's the only fight on that card that I'm even slightly interested in seeing. I looked up and down the fight card hoping to see another fight that would catch my interest. It's that Tank fight, or Tank, Roach, or bust, because the rest of the lineup, I was like, I don't know, maybe them two are the only ones making money on that card, but I didn't really recognize any other big name prize fighters that were interesting enough for me to want to tune into. But
Jamel Herring.
Oh, Jamal Herring, yeah.
Oh, it was a unanimous decision.
But he used to be a champion, and he got beat recently by one of those guys. He was a champion and lost his title. If you Google who did Jamel Herring lose to recently, within the last year, he was a champion and somebody took the title from him. Was it Devin Haney? Is that how Devin Haney got the belt? Who did he lose to? Because
yeah, 5 losses.
Jamal Silva, I think the Cuban kid Sharik trains, is on the undercard. He's good too.
He was supposed to be on the undercard, but he fought like, I don't know, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago. So I don't think he's on this undercard. But yeah, that dude is a beast.
Where's that kid?
He lost it.
The Cuban kid. Is he from the New England area? Or
yeah, now he is. He lost to Jermaine Ortiz. Oh, on April 3rd, 2024. He's 38 years old. He lost to John England.
Herring?
Met in Jackson John England met in the ring in super featherweight. No. But Jamal Herring, right? That's the name.
Yeah, he was a champion. I thought it was Devin Haney or somebody. It was a big name fighter. I thought that beat him.
He lost to Shakur Stevens.
Oh,
that was in 2021.
Yeah, no, it was more recent than that. That's 4 years ago. I'm saying in the last year and a half.
Yeah. He lost to, in May 2021, he lost to Jermaine Ortiz.
Jermaine Ortiz is the kid from Worcester, right?
I think so. He lost to Jackson John England, April 3rd, 2024.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is. All right. Jamal, what's your prediction on, we were just talking right before you chimed in, what's your prediction on the Tank Davis fight? Me and D-Con were talking about there's familiarity between the two because they fought as amateurs and they live in, the same area as each other. Does Roach stand a chance hanging in there with Tank? Decon seems to think he'll have him out of there in the 6th round. We're trying to get some opinions because I know Roach isn't no bum, but fighting Tank is a different monster. That's a whole different ballgame.
Harron, yeah, I already told you Harron beat Roach. So I don't know, man. I don't think it's gonna be a good fight.
Mm.
Yeah, he definitely is a monster.
So, let me see. I hope this guy can give him a good match. They are familiar, and Roach seems confident, but Tank is a different mister, like he's a different monster. So, do you believe it won't go past 6, or do you see it ending earlier or going a little further? Because I'm going to say the 8th round. Because
if it goes,
Tank doesn't rush, but once he figures out that weakness,
that's what I'm saying.
It ends quick.
He's gonna feel him out.
He doesn't have to wear him down. He just has to find that opening.
He's just gonna feel him out, and then like people don't give Tank credit for being a smart fighter, but that dude's a smart fighter. He knows his stuff around the ring.
So let's assume Tank gets by Roach. Will we see him and Stevenson next? Because I think they said Tank's talking about wanting to retire. He's going to have to get his last fight or two in soon. I think he's 32 now, or getting ready to be 32.
He's 30.
I saw something about he's getting ready to be 32. So he must be 31 now.
I thought he was 30,
but the whole thing was he doesn't plan on staying around until his skills start to diminish. He wants to get out on top, I guess.
Yeah, he's 30 years old. November 7th, 1994. So he just turned.
Yeah, and we're 2025. So, no, November. Yeah, the end of the year.
Turned 30, pretty much.
So what would be next in his future? Because Stevenson mentioned his name, and that doesn't guarantee that they'll fight. What's the best fight out there that we'd like to see come Tank Davis's way? Is it Stevenson, or is there somebody else we'd like to see him fight?
I want to see him fight Stevenson. I do.
You think that'll be better than him fighting Keyshawn Davis?
I think so. Or I would like to see him fight Devin Haney.
But don't we feel like Devin Haney has to prove himself against somebody again before we? I mean, he did not look good at all.
But he still has a belt.
He has the belt, yeah, by default. No matter what, I don't care what weight Ryan Garcia was at. Devin Haney looked like he didn't have an answer for that left hook. I think, yeah, it might have been a little bit more powerful because of the rehydration or, whatever. He might have been a little stronger, but.
There's talks of him fighting Garcia again.
Right, but Garcia's suspended for how long? A year or something? Like it's got to be almost over.
That year's coming up.
Because I think they fought in like May.
That year's coming up. So figure after this fight, you got to wait, 3 months before you can do anything? I think it's 3 months before you can do anything. But I don't know. So we'll see. We will see, sir.
All right. Is there anything else in the way of boxing that is piquing our interest? Any of the other divisions? I
know there's another fight this weekend too. I'm not sure. Conor Ben and
and they've been going at it, like a verbal joust.
Yeah, they've been. Did
somebody smash an egg in somebody's face?
I know Conor Ben got smacked up. I don't know about the egg, but I didn't see that part.
I don't know, but it just doesn't seem like there's a bunch of fights out there.
Eubank slapped Ben with an egg in the face off.
What possessed him to do that? Like, why an egg? Like, was it symbolic or something?
I don't know.
Like, who thinks I'm going to bring an egg to the press conference? Slap this dude up.
They're both British. I know that.
They've been trying to fight for a while. because there's a lot of, like, that was like with the Parker and Fury and the people. Great Britain has put out, United Kingdom in general had put out a lot of world-class champions, and they're fighting to represent that area. And your opinion and my opinion might differ as who's the best, but Eubanks and Ben, I think one of them got in trouble, and that delayed the last time they were supposed to fight. I don't know if they tested positive for something, or if something came up that.
Oh, you know what it is? Their fathers had a clash 3 decades ago.
Wow.
It says the British rivals will clash more than 3 decades after their fathers settled their own bitter grudge. That's wow.
You're getting some love on the hoodie, man. Oh wait.
Look who was it coming from now. If he was wearing a hoodie, it'd be a D3 hoodie. Cosmic Cow.
That's what Derek just said. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. But I think that's going to be a good fight, and a lot of people underestimate both those two fighters.
Yeah.
And it's finally time. So they got a definite date, like that fight. Nate Victor, is that fight like around the corner? Or
Yeah,
did
it's coming up, if I'm not mistaken. I thought it was this week, to tell you the truth.
I wish that fight was on the undercard of the Tank Davis fight. There needed to be one more. Charlie Perry, what's up, good brother? Just to catch you up, we recapped a fight last week with Bivol and Bertibiev, who we think's, where we think's going to happen next with that division, because Benavidez was verbally promised the winner of that fight, but that fight was so good that now everybody's talking about a pot 3. But we're like, what's going to happen? Their dads hated each other. They're fighting in April. Okay, so anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, because March is in 2 days. That's an interesting storyline.
April 26th. Wow, I don't know why I was.
Oh, that's 2 months away, because today's February 27th.
Yeah, April 26th.
Hmm.
And it's going to be on DAZN.
So Nate and Charlie, since you guys just tuned in earlier, me and Derek were going back and forth about what happens next with that light heavyweight division, because the Mexican Monster was verbally promised the winner of that fight. But now there's people saying they'd like to see a pot 3. What should be the next move?
I think Benavidez gets this fight. That's what I was saying, Charlie.
So I don't have a problem with that. But then what happens to Bertibiev? This was this man's first time losing. Where does he go from there? Like, he can't just sit around and wait.
Now, was there another rematch clause in that?
No, they just talked about,
I don't even think there was a rematch clause in the first one.
No, I just think that the first fight was so good that everybody wanted to see it. And there was controversy.
And there was no.
This one, there was a little less controversy.
There was nobody in the waiting either. Like Benavidez was.
Benavidez had elevated up in weight and proven with the Morrell.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about maybe Morrell fights Bertibiev?
That's what I was thinking. Well,
you have like a Final Four, since Canelo wants to duck and juke everybody in that division. All the guys capable of beating him.
Nate says pot 3, then Benavidez. I don't know. I don't think.
But why punish Benavidez? Because he's already fought Morrell, so we don't really want to see that happen again. He won that kind. But since Morrell lost and Bertibiev lost, let them fight their way back into the winner, and then we see a pot 3.
Either way, somebody's going to get punished.
Because
Bertibiev, whatever, when he won, Bivol got the fight right away. Now they're going to make.
He wasn't. Well, they were both champions.
They're going to make him wait because
Benavidez has also been waiting.
Yeah.
But I think Bertibiev has accomplished more at this point in his career than Benavidez has. But do we make them fight a third time before Benavidez finally gets
my thing with that is Benavidez, I think he's the guy that's been, people have been avoiding.
And we want to see him in there. I mean, I give credit to him fighting Morrell and Morrell stepping up and fighting him, because Morrell hadn't had that many professional fights. 12 fights or something?
11 or 12 fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he stepped up kind of quickly and showed no fear and the willing. I like that old school attitude. I like when fighters just say, let's fight. And you don't get punished for losing. I don't think Bertiev should be punished for losing.
No.
You know, I didn't think Bivol should have been punished when he lost the first. Well, they say he lost the first time. But I want to see these guys fight each other and not feel like it's the end of their career.
I think by reading the comments, I think Nate Victor, Charlie Perry are about to ready to fight next. They're going back and forth with this. I like it. But I don't know, man. I think you give it to Benavidez.
All right. But I still think if that's the case, Bertiev he can't just lie in wait. He has to fight somebody like a Morel or somebody else that's worthy and then say the winner gets a shot at the winner Benavidez. And that's how Pot 3 storyline, because what if Benavidez wins? Now Bertiev's going to want to fight Benavidez. He'll be 1-1 against Bivol. How do you decide depending on it'd be Benavidez and Bivol would be a tough one to predict.
In my opinion, I think you have to revert back to the old school when it was Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, and Marvin Hagler, how they just took turns fighting each other.
Right. And none of them lost any respect or any credibility.
That's the only way you can do something.
And styles make fights, because one guy looked awesome against one guy, and then that guy that lost would get up and beat somebody else that the other guy struggled with. It was just styles make fights.
Yeah.
But
pay-per-view next week, Charlie versus Nate.
All right, man. We're gonna have a rehydration clause. What division we fighting in here?
Nathan Victor got to pass a physical first.
But
you got to pass a physical, and I need a signed note from his mother, making sure it's okay.
So, guys, where does Bertiev go then? If we give Benavidez the next opportunity against Bivol, where does Bertiev go from here? Like I just think that
what is that? That's lightweight. Benitez.
Oh yeah, Wilfred Benitez back in the day, but I think like he was a little older at the time because he started his career real young, like him and Duran, but Duran was older than the rest of those guys.
Yeah,
like he was older than Leonard, so he knows what it was like with a young Wilfred Benitez. Because I remember Pimpino Cuevas and all them around that time, but there was dominant people in that one division, and they all fought. I don't remember anybody avoiding each other, but Benitez was definitely an all-time great.
Yeah, it's stupid, Nate. Oh man, but I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Do you just have him sit and wait?
I don't think he wants to sit and wait, and I think he wants to prove that. But I think because he lost, and it was unanimous, that he has to. Well, 2 out of the 3 judges, and then the other one was a draw. So, majority decision, I guess.
Yeah,
but if we think Benavidez has earned the shot to be at the top of that division,
so do you think it?
I mean, he's only had one fight in that division when he fought Morel.
Yeah.
Right?
So do you think you do this?
What's up, Jack?
Do you think that they have the Mexican Monster fight? Not Bivol, the other guy. Bertiev. And then the winner gets Bivol.
Well, then Bivol sits on the back burner for a little while.
The other champ.
But Benavidez, I'm pretty sure was promised when he got flown over to that fight.
No, he definitely was. He definitely was. But they probably was expecting Bivol to lose, probably.
Well, I would like to see Bertiev have to fight Morel or something like that, or somebody in that top range. Like, you just don't sit idly by and wait. You don't lose and then have the luxury to sit back and wait for 2 winners to fight.
Yeah,
no. So I think Bertiev would have to win another fight in order to command. I mean, we already know that it would be a good match, but you can't punish Benavidez because people want to see a third match. But we don't have to see that right away. Yeah. Let Bivol won, let him step up and take the next challenge. But Bertiev has to be active during that time because we know these guys only fight twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
So Bertiev would get caught sitting out for a whole year because that fight wouldn't happen for 4 or 5 months. And then There'd have to be a recovery time in a training camp. We wouldn't see that fight for over a year.
But Nathan, when you move, if you're the champion and you move up, you become the number one contender automatically because you're the champ in the division below. So when you move up in weight, you become the number one contender regardless. So why shouldn't he get that shot?
Okay, let's play devil's advocate. The next fight is Bivol and the Mexican Monster.
Yeah.
How do you see that playing out? Guys, chime in on this too. Mexican Monster gets his shot. Tomorrow they sign a contract saying him and Bivol are going to fight in September.
That's a tough one.
Does one style dictate a better chance of success against the other? Or because I think Bivol's experience and what he's shown,
but
he's fought a hard puncher like Bertivia. It's not going to be much different.
But this is my thing. The Mexican Monster can punch probably just as hard as Bertivia.
And he doesn't get tired.
But he has more. He's more active.
More active than Bertivia?
Yeah. His flow is smoother. Bertivia he's a puncher. The Mexican Monster. He outboxed Benavidez
because Bivol's
he's
better boxer.
He's definitely a good boxer.
And he was able to out. That's what I was thinking because he was able to outbox the slugger in that fight. Like we said, Bertivia was 29 for 29 with knockouts, except for the.
But my thing is, I think Benavidez is more fluent than Bertivia, whatever his name is.
He's 40?
Yes.
Ooh, I didn't realize he was that old.
Yep.
So.
I agree with you, Isaac.
Wow, that's a good point, Isaac. I did not realize he was 40 years old.
That's like the only thing I agree with you in sports because, for one, you're a Cowboy fan. That's terrible. And I believe you're a Mets fan, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he got Juan Soto, so he has some hope this year.
Refresh my memory. Are you a Mets fan, Isaac? I believe you are, but I can't remember. Just don't say you're a Yankee fan. That's it.
All right, well, I don't know if there's another storyline in boxing, but I think it would be interesting. But that Bertivia point caught me off guard. I was not prepared to.
He's 39. He's going to be 40.
Yeah, but I forgot about around 36, 37.
Yeah, see, I knew it. Your Mets. I knew it.
So that discredits him right there.
Nah, he's good. No, the Mets. If he said Yankees, I'd be like, nah, I don't know. Hawks. You and Charlie the Peanut, the only Hawks fans I know. But I don't know. So. Well, you see this shirt, right, bro?
Oh, now we got too many Mets fans on.
Nah, my brother David's a Mets fan as well. So,
all right. So outside of boxing, what else happened in the world of sports this week? Hey, fellas, we got the NFL Combine going on right now. And also in the way of NFL news, the salary cap just went up significantly because me and Derek were looking. Our team's got 8 to 10 million more because the salary cap went up to a decent amount.
279.
279.2, which added about $10 million to every team's available money. Now, some teams are in bed. Derek's team's in good position. My team's in good position. Mr. Victor, your team's in excellent position.
Yeah, because his team sucks. Nobody wants to play for his team.
But they had did they have less money than you guys? I know all the teams in our division except Green Bay had a lot of money.
No, they had more money than us. They had more money than you guys.
Did they? Because I know New England has the most, and then I couldn't remember if it was Chicago or somebody else. But then I knew 3 teams in our division had a lot of money to go free agent shopping. So right now, all the experts are talking about T. Higgins is probably the most desired number 1 free agent right now, but we don't know. Rumor has it the Bengals came out yesterday and said it's a done deal that they're going to make Jamar Chase the highest paid non-quarterback, and they plan on tagging Mr. Higgins.
The Bengals are right behind you. It goes the Patriots at 127, the Raiders at 96, the Commanders 81, Bears 79.
Oh, I thought you said the Bengals were right behind us. I was like, no, they're not.
Oh, no, hold on. Bengals are right behind you for cap space. Cardinals 78.
How much do the Bengals have?
Chargers 66, Vikings 63, Bengals 61.
Okay, let me show you what's going to happen with that 61. Jamar Chase is going to get signed. T.
No,
Higgins is going to get signed. And don't forget their defensive end who led the league in sacks, Trey Hendrickson.
He wants
to get paid as a top defensive end.
He wants out of there.
He wants out?
Yep.
Ooh, I didn't hear that. But I was saying, if they tried to retain all three of them, that's going to eat up a lot of that $61 million. And they still need to get an offensive line in front of Burrow, and they got to add pieces to the defense. But how do you add pieces to the defense if you lose Hendrickson? You'd have to find two mid-level. Whoa.
I'm like, what the hell are you jumping for?
Yeah, I was like,
like, what happened?
ain't nobody in here.
No, not the other one. The other one. No, keep going down. No, pull the curtain. No, it's right there. We just got to pull it tighter. No, not that tight. Not that tight. There's a hole around where your hands on the curtain. Yeah, there is. Go down more with your right hand. Right there. But yeah, man. The salary cap's crazy.
So, yeah, wardrobe fix, man. We had a Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson moment or something over here. But
Steve showing his boobies.
But how much do we believe what Cincinnati's saying about can they afford to franchise T. Higgins? Because this will be the second time around. So he'd be entitled to a lot of money.
But if you franchise him, that don't go against the salary cap, does it?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember on that part. I think that's why a lot of the guys get franchised so that they don't have to worry about the salary cap or paying.
Well, then that would help them a lot. Or they could sign him and trade him. But if Cincinnati didn't use the franchise,
if they don't franchise him, he's gone.
Right.
Patriots have too much money.
But will he go to the Patriots? Because there's also the Redskins that would be nice. There's also Green Bay needs a true number one wide receiver. Like all these teams have money, and somebody's going to bite the bullet and say
Green Bay has $48 million.
Right. And I think they need a true number one. But I don't know if he wants to play.
Patriots have $127 million.
Right, but the Patriots also need offensive line help at every position, and I don't think they want to spend it all on just one wide receiver. Though they can afford to do it, they could overpay a little bit. They could give T. Higgins $30 million a year.
They need that.
Yeah, they give him $30 million and still have almost $100 million to spend this year.
Yeah, they need somebody like that though.
Paul Parrish, yeah, I personally would like to see him go to the Redskins. I think he's only 25 years old. I didn't realize that either. And Jamar Chase is only 24, but Jamar Chase is getting 35 to 37 million.
At the Redskins, he won't be a number one receiver.
I think they'll be co-number ones because
that's what they thought they were going to be here too. But
right, but the fact is they'll pony up long-term guaranteed money where Cincinnati won't be ready to do it. If Cincinnati's only going to sign him for a franchise year, he's going to probably make a little over 30 million a year, but it's only guaranteed for this 1 year. But if he gets a long-term 4 or 5 year deal from the Redskins or the Patriots, a lot of that guaranteed money's up front. At least half that contract's going to be up front. So you got that comfort level of knowing that I'm taking my future is secured.
I don't think T. Higgins will be happy with the franchise tag, Mr. Perry. Of course there is. And what offense is there not a number one wide receiver? If you don't have a number one wide receiver, then your offense isn't that
I
good.
thought that way with the Rams this year because the emergence of Pika Nakua along with Cooper Kupp.
He was the number one.
He proved to be, but they both had injuries to overcome, and he came back quicker. And
the number one receiver is the guy that gets the ball the most. And Puka proved that he was the number one.
Yeah. Just like in Cincinnati, as good as T. Higgins is, Jamar Chase
is the number one.
As good as he was. And I think that was the best combination in football in Cincinnati this year. But the Rams weren't too far behind.
Patriots number one was a tight end. So you can't go there either. I don't agree with you. Sorry.
Well, So is there any other dark horses that you think could emerge for T. Higgins services, or is it pretty much if Cincinnati doesn't franchise him, you think he'd go to New England? Washington would be ready to win now. So not only do you get paid, but you also
Is he looking for the bag? If he's looking for the bag, he goes to New England.
but if you have a chance to get both,
I think he'll get a bigger bag with New England.
but if then that New England's not ready to win anytime soon. I don't.
The Commanders got 81 million.
But how they grab him, and then they draft an offensive lineman, and then they add to their defense because they just allowed their defensive tackle to seek permission for a trade too. Was it Darren Reed? One of the two.
One of the big guys.
Yeah, they got two monsters in the middle of that line. They already let both ends go. So, all right, I got an interesting question I want to pose as far as free agent wide receivers go. We just mentioned Cooper Kupp being out there, and the Rams just said, he's free to look for his own deal, right?
Yep.
But they're also shopping Matt Stafford. But the 49ers just made Deebo Samuel the same opportunity. Like, you want to go out there and seek a new trade? Who would you pursue more, Deebo Samuel or Cooper Kupp? Which one do you think has more gas in his tank right now? Like, I think the last 2 years, Deebo Samuel his value's gone down a little bit, but the same thing with Cooper Kupp. But with Cooper, I think it's because of the emergence.
I don't think Deebo was happy in San Fran because.
You think it's his ego, like he wanted to be the number one, or because he wanted to be paid like a running back and a?
I don't know. I just don't think he was happy.
Charlie's not happy with me saying that T. Higgins doesn't want to play in New England. You just don't think Deebo was happy?
Steven.
Because I said I don't think he'll go to the Patriots for the bag.
But you know why
Charlie wants him.
You know why he's saying Steven.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yes, he wants money. Who doesn't?
Yeah, but you got a quarterback who played well as a rookie, and he didn't have that number one,
and he wasn't.
And you still got a ton of money after paying him, and you got some draft picks that are pretty high.
He wasn't on the field a lot.
Who?
Deebo. He missed a lot of time.
So if you had to choose.
And Cooper
between Kupp and Samuel right now, does one appeal to you more than the other? Because I think Cooper Kupp is one of the more sure-handed, best route runners in the league, and I think he'll be a good teammate. Deebo might be more about Deebo.
Deebo's not a good teammate. The thing with Cooper Kupp is we got to see how he comes back from that injury. Because I don't think he was 100%.
Right.
This whole year.
That's my whole point is I don't think he's washed up. I think he was hurt. I think it affected his production. But in the last year and a half, we watched Puka Nacua really emerge. He was a bigger receiver that was just as fast and great hands.
As many balls as he did his MVP year.
And he's a lot cheaper right now. So it looks like the Rams are trying to dump money with Cooper Kupp and Stafford.
Yeah. And
then use that money to get younger again. And, but they've been asking some crazy stuff like the number 3 overall pick. I don't think how old is Matt Stafford? 36, 37?
37.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have many to take somebody's number 3 pick, that somebody that could be around the next 10, 12 years.
Yeah. I wouldn't
trade him for like a Cam Ward or something like that.
The Raiders? The Raiders were number 3?
No. The Raiders are like number 8.
Oh, the Giants have number 3.
Giants got number 3, right after Cleveland.
Raiders, I believe, are number 6.
Yeah. So I think we only got another week before people have to designate their franchise tag. So that should unmuddy the waters a little bit, because the only person that the franchise tag has already been used on was the God in Kansas City. He got franchise tagged, so he's not going nowhere.
Run anytime.
Is there anybody else out there we think's going to get franchised that might not make it to the free agent market? Like, I just don't know if Cincinnati can afford to do that.
They have 81 million, bro.
But if you say Hendrickson wants out of Cleveland, then that's a big deal because he's going to want $25 million a year.
I know Chase is going to want money.
Chase is going to say minimum 35, but probably more.
But this is my thing with that. You sign a 4 or 5 year deal. Why don't you just do what everybody else is doing? Take that
back end the money.
Take the signing bonus and then back end all the money to help your team out. Because you're getting the money regardless. So I don't know.
Well, free agency is getting ready to start. This is one of the more exciting parts because that, to me, dictates how our teams will draft because we don't know who we're going to get in free agency. We know what we need right now, but some of those needs are going to be met in free agency, and whatever we don't get in free agency, that might change our perspective to, hey, we got that defensive end we needed. Like, I know you guys would love to get Myles Garrett.
He's not going anywhere.
Well, according to Cincinnati. I mean, according to Cleveland. But
honestly,
he's not a free agent, but I'm hearing rumors that he could be reunited with his old Seattle coach in Oakland. I mean, in the Raiders camp.
Possibly. Honestly, in my opinion, who I would like to see, I wouldn't mind if it's available. I wouldn't mind a kid from Cincinnati.
Oh, anybody of that nature. You led the league in sacks teaming up with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson.
I wouldn't mind Mac, even though he's
but he's short term.
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking,
at what price would you not mind Mac?
See, that's the difference. I'm not paying Mac top dollar. That's the reason why you go after somebody like Mac.
Speaking of Mac, rumors are Harbaugh is going to let Bosa walk. He's not going to resign him because I didn't realize his production had gone down the last 2 years, and he's got big money on the books.
He's been hurt as well too.
Would you take a chance on Bosa, or would you be afraid of his injury?
We'd have to cut down his contract.
Yeah, I don't know. Bosa's going to want to do.
That's what I mean. If we can cut down his contract, I wouldn't mind taking a chance. Just like I don't know. Because when he's on the field, he's tough. He's tough. You can't block him one-on-one.
It's just hard when these guys demand to make
F Bosa
big money, and
why you say F Bosa?
Probably because his support of Trump. Both Bosas were very vocal.
Oh, yep. If Detroit gets another damn crazy shit.
I think Detroit's going to get some type of defensive end, whether it's in free agency or whether it's in the draft. They're going to get a defensive end to pair with Hutchinson.
They're looking at the kid from
there's a couple of nice defensive ends coming out of college.
From a small school, green team. What's the name of what's the name of the team that they made a movie after that got into the plane crash? Marshall? No, it wasn't Marshall. Sugar. I can't remember the team and the name, but
there's Shamar Stewart, which I think is coming out of Texas A&M, who's a beast of an athlete.
He should be gone by our pick.
But Carter's going to be the first defensive end off the board.
Yeah.
Mason Graham's a defensive tackle, right?
Yeah. So, they were talking about the linebacker from Alabama.
Going high?
No, we're late.
Oh.
We're late. Yeah, that kid right Campbell. There. Yep, that kid right there.
Well, you could use an athletic linebacker.
Yeah, give us 3 linebackers.
But then I said it all depends on what you do in free agency. Because if you get that defensive end like Hendrickson or somebody of that caliber, then you can switch gears and say, because your secondary is young and looks like they're going to be together for a little while.
Yeah, and then we get another young linebacker. We have 2 young linebackers. Both Campbells would be 2 young linebackers, and Alex in the middle.
I think just because of his last name, he'll go to Detroit. Because the coach, the linebackers, your name Campbell. That's like Philly drafting all Georgia players.
Yeah,
we
get all the Campbell suit guys.
So, out of the guys coming out, the NFL combines are happening as we speak, and they got the big defensive linemen, doing their thing this week. Is there any defensive lineman that you think might be able to raise his stock? Like I mentioned, Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. We already know Abdul Carter, because of injury, is not going to participate in this. But I heard Mason Graham's there, but he's not doing any of the physical stuff. He's going to do the interviews and he's going to take the Wonderlink test or whatever they do.
That's
But I don't like the fact that people don't work out no more at these. Abdul Qadir, I can understand because he has injury, but that's like, to me, like seeing all the best seniors sitting out there bowl games and stuff like that. Like, come on, man. Nothing's guaranteed. And the way your money's slotted on where you get drafted, you could potentially earn yourself a few more $1 million a year by getting drafted 2 or 3 spots higher, than expected.
Hey, James Pierce Jr. He's an edge rusher from Tennessee.
Yes, and he's a tall edge rusher.
4.47.
He ran it?
He ran a 4.47.
They were talking about him being a surprise.
Shamar Stewart ran a 4.59.
Yeah, these guys are defensive ends.
I know.
The only problem with Shamar Stewart is he only had 1.5 sacks the last 3 years, and they said he causes the disruption, and then the guy runs into a sack somewhere else. Yeah. But he's the reason why those other sacks are happening. So do you gamble? They compared him to the guy that went to Jacksonville when he got drafted over Hutchinson, right? Jacksonville took Walker.
Where? South Carolina.
Kevin,
what up, Kevin?
What's going on?
But the kid from Syracuse, Fidel Diggs, ran a 4.57.
There's a lot of defensive ends that are running numbers that we might expect from athletic linebackers. That's a scary thought, to think that the defensive ends have gotten so athletic that they can run with just about anybody on the field. Yeah, because that James Pierce guy, if you look up his physical, I want to say he's 6'5", 6'6", and they showed him picking off a pick 6 from the defensive end position and outrunning people.
6'5", 245.
That's crazy. That's ridiculous. So I think some of these guys like Pierce, who might have been projected to be the middle to 3/4 of the way down the draft, might move into a top 10 selection based on his showing. A team might say, you can't teach 6'5" with that type of athletic ability. And we know he has the dog in him, but he has all the measurables to go with it. That would make him a little bit more desirable than Shamar Stewart or somebody else of that nature.
Kevin, you run a what? A 10-2-1? Is that the shift you run at work? No, I don't know if you've seen Kevin lately, but my boy looks slim right now.
Oh yeah, he's been hiding out, man. Yeah, that's what it is, man.
He looks good, no homo, but he looks good for a big guy. Shit, I gotta.
He's just gonna explode on us in the spring, where we're gonna hear a voice and be like, "Sounds like Kev's around," and that's Kev right there.
Yo, like I seen him last week, and I know he's gonna get mad at me.
We find out he turned his physical workouts over to Sharik. And
I looked at him. I said, "Oh shit!" He's like, "What?" I said, "You do have a neck." Mm-hmm. No Diddy, my guy right there, Big Aristotle.
So.
Yeah, that's crazy. Edge rusher.
Do you think something like Mason Graham saying he doesn't want to work out, like, does that hurt his draft stock, or you think maybe he has a verbal guarantee? Some of these guys have already been told, if you're there when we pick, but they haven't even had the free agency yet, so it's hard to make that promise.
This is my thing with him. You've seen what he can do on a football field with pads on, with players
against major competition,
with players in front of him. You know what I mean? Like a defensive end, just because he runs a 4.4, if he don't have no game film showing him killing it on the field, what is that 4.4 doing for you?
But that's how I think Trayvon Walker moved up to the number 1 pick that year, when we didn't expect him to be the number 1. I think he had such a good combine that people jumped up and grabbed him a little earlier than expected. And that made him a lot more money, because the number 1 pick on a rookie contract, you're set.
I'm glad that happened. But Abdul Qadir doesn't need surgery. If he's the best defensive player out there, I don't think he drops.
Jalen Walker's another guy. I don't think we've seen the numbers on him yet, but he's another athletic defensive player. There's a lot. If you need
Jalen Walker
this year,
Jalen Walker, that's a defensive lineman.
I think so.
Yeah,
defensive lineman
doing
or
the
outside linebacker, one or the other.
Edge rushers right now.
But there's a lot of talent on edge rushers and defensive tackles. Like if you need a defensive front seven person, there's a lot of talent, because you're not going to be unhappy with a Jalen Walker or who's the guy we just mentioned from Michigan, as well as Pierce from Tennessee, Graham from Michigan. Michigan also has a second guy that's slightly below Graham that is going to be a first-round pick too. Like Michigan has two guys on the same offense, on the same defensive line, that are going to be number 1 draft picks. And every team would be happy to have either one. But Graham has a little bit higher motor. But
Paul, you're talking about Kyle Kennard from South Carolina, the edge rusher. He ran a 4.73.
Yes, there is a guy, and that's the guy that might be from the smaller school, I think, Marshall or one of them schools. But there is a guy with an African name that's supposed to be one of the better defensive linemen this year. But I don't think he played at a major school, if I'm not mistaken. But there's gonna be people that make some money, man.
No, we're getting to the DTs now. The edge now, they got these DTs.
So who's run already? You got any impressive numbers
for a defensive tackle?
Yeah,
the best 40 is a 4.83. That's Ty Robinson from Nebraska.
Not familiar with him.
Jared Harrison Hunty, 4.86 SMU. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, 4.86 from Georgia. Aeneas Pebbles, 4.9, Virginia Tech. Darius Alexander from Toledo, 4.9. Derek Harmon, 4.9.
Derek Harmon from where?
Oregon. CJ West, 4.9. And now again,
I don't think that's the guy I was thinking of, but
Warren Brinson from Georgia, 5.0.
They said any of those guys under 5 is good. And you got some of those guys you said in 4.5 and 4.6 range. That's incredible.
Yeah, those are the edge rushers. These are D tackles.
The kid from Tennessee,
Elijah Simmons,
is Pierce. That's the guy we were talking about. Yeah, the Toledo dude and the Marshall dude. One of them's the African dude, but both of them have.
I just said a guy from Toledo. The Darius Alexander.
Oh, here we go. Charlie Perry, Mason Graham, Walter Nolan, Tyreek Williams, Kenneth Grant's the second guy from Michigan. Yep. TJ Sanders.
They must not be at the combine.
Shamar Stewart. Deion Walker is the guy. Yeah, Harmon. I knew I heard his name. Deion Walker is the guy I secretly want Minnesota to take. He's an interior lineman. I don't know if he's run yet. You see any numbers on Deion Walker? But I think he might be around when my team picks at 24, because there's so much talent.
There's David Walker, but he's an edge.
Yeah, this is Deion Walker from Kentucky. He's supposed to be outside of Mason Graham, like the second or third best interior lineman in the draft. And we need somebody that can stuff the middle and Walker is also good at getting pressure. He can do what what's his name does in Kansas City, get pressure from the inside. So anytime you got somebody who can put pressure on a quarterback from an interior defensive spot, that's another plus. And be a run stopper.
Like Aleem McNeil?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that kid's a beast.
Walter Nolan was number 1 coming out of high school.
Deion Walker didn't do anything so far.
Yeah, but there's so many people. There's like 300 people invited to that. I don't know.
Not Shiloh Sanders.
Oh, yeah, he didn't make it. Can't make it on just his name alone. And he had a bad Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
But, hey, if you need defense this year, because I think the defensive line is probably the most stacked position, and I'm including nose tackles and defensive ends and edge rushers all in the same. Or I don't know. You classify edge rushers as Defensive end or outside linebacker?
I need defensive end.
Huh?
I consider them defensive ends.
Defensive ends?
Yeah. Because
it depends where they line up.
When the edge rusher lines up from on the end all the time. Just about.
I've just seen some people be like an outside linebacker and they put him at that position and they still call him an edge rusher because they're on there. But I think that's the only position today is the defensive line running.
Now, let's just throw this James Pierce kid out. Do you think just because he ran a 4.4 that he should be an automatic first round draft pick?
He was already a number one draft pick. He was just going to be later in the first round. So? They were talking about him being like 17 to 25. It all depends on team needs because we know there's definitely going to be 2 quarterbacks, but somebody might believe in somebody to take a third one. We know there's going to be like 2 or 3 wide receivers. We know there's going to be 2 or 3 quarterbacks.
His prospect grade was a 6.4.
Where do they project him in the mock drafts? I've seen his name.
In the productive score, he's ranked 4th for edge rushers,
right?
And edge rushers. They don't have where they predict him.
I know I saw his name in like I'll say the 18 to 25 range, depending on team needs. The only reason he'll drop further down in the draft is because there's other people that have other needs, but talent-wise, he's a first-round talent. The fact that he's 6'5", and we've already seen his game tape, and now we know physically that he's faster.
And he's played in the SEC.
Yeah, he's played against the best. That's another big factor. People underestimate that. The level of competition that the SEC or the people that play in the Big Ten, they're playing semi-pro schedules all season long.
Pierce is a football player like Hightower for the Patriots. He'll be wherever the ball is every play.
I was just, until I saw them announce who was going to be running today and they put his size, I thought he was 6'3". I had no idea he was 6'5".
So he might be 6'3", but they're going to put 6'5" on paper.
But to be able to run like that at that, like, you know how much quicker you can get to the quarterback, So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know if there's any other positions that are.
No, we didn't talk about that, Charlie. I don't think that's worth talking about.
Yeah, that the league's trying to.
It should be banned.
Have a petition. Why can it cause injuries? Because that's the only reason I think it should be banned. Because you're pushing somebody, it could be, All
right, now, you can push. You can push from the back. You can't pull. That's what it was. So, but I don't know. My thing is like a lot of calls were missed on the offensive line. A lot of them I've seen a lot of them guys jumping early, but they don't call it. But if the defense jumps early, they call it.
It's effective.
I know, Charlie. Be quiet.
Other teams have tried to emulate it to some degree, but they don't do it as good as Philly. So I think you have to give Philly credit for how they use it. Everybody knows it's coming, and they still have a ton of difficulty stopping it. It's all about who gets lower on the line, how you're going to stop the penetration. You usually don't really need that many yardage when you're using it, but it's hard when and the size of that line. Like they got the perfect makeup of all. I think your team could do that if they wanted to because of the makeup of your line.
But we don't have that quarterback to do it. We'd have to sub the quarterback out. Paulo Paris, I want to say this might be one of the very few times that I agree with you.
It's too obvious now that
I don't
pick plays.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them pick plays because it's all about how the refs call it. Some refs call it right after the 1 yard line. Some refs don't. I've seen a few pick plays not being called that are 3 to 5 yards out. But I don't know. But I'm not a big fan of the pick play. Not at all.
Well, right now it's just been suggested because the owners' meetings always take place during free agency and the NFL combines. All the owners are in Indianapolis right now. They're talking about different things. A lot of trades get done around this time. A lot of rules are proposed. It's just proposed right now. There's no guarantee it's going to get banned or not get banned. It's just being talked about. But getting back to the draft, how do you guys feel about the comparison between Cam Ward and Shedeur Stevens? I'm thinking of the boxer now. Shedeur Sanders.
I don't honestly.
Does one have an advantage? I think they're two completely different style quarterbacks, but I see different teams saying depending on the system fit, one would be better than the other.
Have you seen the little things that they've been having?
Yeah, I think that's planned. I think they're actually good friends.
Yeah,
and they're working out together and they're dogging each other.
Just
you lead the country in percentage. You're throwing little dump, little 5-yard passes all the time. Of course.
Yeah, that. He said, if I did that, I'd have 90%.
Yeah.
He said, you have a run game.
But me personally, I think they both have different advantages for different reasons. Because Shedeur has the advantage of being more accurate. But Cam Ward
is more
athletic. And that's going to remind a lot of people of what just happened in Washington with Jaden Daniels. So a lot of people are going to want to emulate the success they saw. Now, I don't know if he has the mental makeup that we saw from Jaden Daniels, because I saw Dan Quinn being interviewed, and he said that kid was a competitor from day one. Like, he knew he could do it. He believed in himself. When Cam Ward didn't play the second half after he broke the record, I lost a little bit of respect.
I did too.
I still respect his talent, but I don't know if he has the same internal fortitude that I don't think Jaden Daniels would have done
this. This is my thing. And
why, Charlie? Explain.
I'm not shitting on Daniels or anything, but the perfect example is Stroud. We all thought that Stroud was unbelievable his rookie season. We all thought he was going to go crazy his sophomore season. He didn't.
His reasons, though.
This is my look at it. And one of the reasons is now NFL teams have a whole year of film on him.
Of course.
Now these NFL teams are going to have a whole year of film on Daniels. And they have guys that are paid to pick apart what this quarterback does. And defenses are going to eat that up, I think, this year. So
I think one of the reasons combined with that, because I think there's more than one, is you can't lose Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, and their number one wide receiver, Nico Collins. They were all hurt for significant.
Yeah.
So where else do you go? When he had those guys, things were a little different.
Yeah.
But also you add on what you said. Now there's film on him, but it would have been a lot easier for him to adjust if you can't double team Nico Collins because you got Stephon Diggs on the other side, and then you got Tank Dell as your number 3. When Stephon Diggs went down and Tank Dell started playing well, and then boom, he went down. Nico Collins missed like 7 games. I know, because I had him in fantasy. I had to sit down and wait for him. That's hard because you didn't take away one guy. You took away 3 guys.
And we don't know what's going to happen in Washington next year either.
So
they could get better with another receiver or stay the same. And
I think if I'm Washington, I can get a receiver later. I would want to protect my investment with offensive line. And I'd like to see a more consistent running back because what's his name?
Robinson wasn't bad.
Robinson, but you know how you guys did it in Detroit. I think you got to have 2. But I think the kid that came over, Austin Eckler might be toward the end of his career.
And he's, in my opinion, he's more of a
specialist.
Scat back.
Yeah, because he's small and he catches the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see them have a consistent running game, which means they got to get a little bit more beef on the offensive line.
Yeah.
You guys have 2 good running backs, but you built your line first.
Yeah.
And then you brought in David Montgomery as a complement to what Jahmyr Gibbs could do. So that thunder and lightning stuff that they're talking about, you got to prepare for 2 different styles, but they're both running behind an elite line.
Yep.
Washington, I don't know if they got an elite offensive lineman. They have to start so that they could be effective in the run game and they can protect Jaden Daniels. Some of that money better go on an offensive lineman.
And not for nothing. They need to grab some defensive guys.
They do. But right now, I think with the money they have available, you don't go after T. Higgins.
Well,
you go after a good offensive veteran lineman.
You don't think you go after T. Higgins? They need another receiver.
I think it would be great.
They need another.
That's the destination. I feel like he'd end up best at, like somebody there or Baltimore or somebody like that.
Like,
but
what are the big name free agent wide receivers out there that if they don't grab a T. Higgins, that can they possibly snatch up?
Well, Debo and Cup are made available through trade. Unless they get cut, they're not free agents. They'd have to get traded. And I think they were both given permission to seek trades, but they don't control their own destiny. They can go out and talk to teams, but at the end of the day, their teams that they're on now have to agree that that's worth the trade. So we'll see what happens there. But so Charlie, you would take Sanders over Mr. Ward. Sanders has been playing like a pro-style offense since Jackson State.
Yes, he has.
But he's not as mobile as I thought.
But Charlie, you don't need a quarterback.
But he's just saying that.
In general,
he would take Sanders.
Okay.
I would take Sanders hot because Sanders also played with no offensive line. Like, he was one of the more sacked quarterbacks in college football last year.
All right. Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, Robert Woods, Marquise Brown.
I think Godwin might get the most money out of those guys. Stephon Diggs, we don't know what his recovery's like. Didn't he blow out a knee or something? Like, he had something significant or break a leg?
I'm not sure what he did.
I know Tank Dell broke a leg. Tank Dell had a major injury.
I need him. I don't need, but you need Amari Cooper out of Buffalo. He didn't do shit over there. They didn't even look at it. Tank. Stephon Diggs is 31. He's older than Amari. I didn't know that.
He spent 6 years in Minnesota, and now he's been gone for 2.
Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins, 32.
See, DeAndre Hopkins and all them, they're not going to be my main number one.
No.
If DeAndre Hopkins said, hey, I can go and be the number 2 in Washington, then maybe. And depending on the type of money, I don't want to blow up the bank for 32 and 33-year-old wide receivers.
No, definitely not.
But at least he's not coming off an injury. But Stephon Diggs, we don't know what his injury is. Godwin, I forgot what happened to him. He got hurt toward the end, right? They didn't have him.
No, he got hurt like in the middle.
Yeah. So I don't know how serious his injury was because for some reason I'm getting foggy about what type of injury he had.
I don't remember, but it was season ending. It was.
All right. So we compared the big 2. Who do you see as this year's Bo Nix that could sneak into a little higher draft position than? Because I didn't think Bo Nix would go in the top 10 picks last year or top 11 picks. And he ended up having a good year. Do we believe Jackson Dot out of Mississippi?
I think
he has all the tools.
I'm high on Mr.
But
Dot.
There's also that shirt you're wearing. There's a quarterback that transferred over there from Ohio State, Mr. McCord.
Yeah.
That I depend if he works out. Foo, what's going on?
Jeffrey.
Paul Parrish read my mind. I don't know if you put it up there before I posed the question, but I agree with you wholeheartedly because I don't think he had. If you put him in the right situation with the right weapons, I like his mobility. I like his accuracy. I like his moxie. I think Jackson Dot could be this year's Bo Nix, but with a little better downfield passing because I think Bo Nix is good for the short to intermediate game. I don't think he's a good deep ball thrower, but I think Jackson Dot can be a good deep ball thrower. And if he ends up in the right situation where they have weapons, he could surprise a few people. What about Kyle McCord? Do you think he has more upside than Jackson Dot?
I don't know because he's played in both. And the reason why he left Ohio State is because of the stud that went over there.
Who didn't even end up.
Yeah, you get him getting.
They ended up having a transfer come in and start.
Yeah.
And win the national championship.
Cooper who?
Cooper Cup or Amari Cooper? He's got to be talking last names there.
Yeah, he must be talking Amari Cooper because Cooper Cup can't sign with anybody. He got to be traded.
Yeah. But Amari Cooper is a free agent.
Yeah.
I would give him a look over a Hopkins or Stephon Diggs even right now, only because he's not coming off an injury.
Dot had better coaching.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin, right?
Yeah.
Who was over there? Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think the kid from Syracuse wasn't bad.
Kyle McCord.
He wasn't bad at all.
But
he even ran the ball.
I think Kyle McCord will be a value day 2 pick. I think Jackson Dot has the chance, if he has a good showing at the combines, to be the next quarterback taken after the 2 that we're talking about. You know, I think that.
Oh, well, Ward and Stevens?
Yeah, after them 2 are gone, I think the number 3 quarterback, USC, yeah, but he was inconsistent. He played well, but I
think it has to be Dart.
He didn't show me enough consistency. I would definitely I had Dot in my mind right from the beginning before I even posed the question. But then I thought about Kyle McCord. I want to say he threw for like 4,000 yards.
Yeah, and he ran for close to 1,000. And
he revitalized that program at Syracuse, who wasn't having that many good years, but he made them competitive in just 1 year over there. So now running backs, everybody's talking about Ashton Gentry. Right,
there's a bunch,
but I keep hearing about the kid from North Carolina now, Omari and
then there's both running backs from Ohio State.
Yeah,
they're both beasts.
But the kid from North Carolina, if you look up his name, he has size and speed. I want to say he's 220, but they're putting him down as he could possibly be a second running back taken in the first round this year. It's just hard to predict where people are going to go until we see how free agency plays out. But there's going to be a lot of talent that comes up through this combine.
Omarion Hampton.
That's him.
6'2",
they got him ranked as the second best. 6'2", what?
6'2", 220. They got him number 1 here.
Ahead of Gentry? Wow.
Yo, he
didn't play the schedule that Boise State. He did it against Oregon and
think about it. 6'2", 220, right? His top speed is 23 miles an hour. That's faster than anybody in the NFL right now.
Really?
Nobody in the NFL reached 20.
Jamar Gibbs didn't run faster than that?
22 was his top.
Paul, are you hearing the numbers of this kid from North Carolina, Omarion Hampton? I wasn't as familiar with him, but 6'2", Omarion Hampton, Jeffrey.
Running back from North Carolina.
They're saying he might overtake Ashton Gentry as the number 1 pick, depending on how a number 1 running back, because of the size. 6'2", 220, and he's the fastest running back in the draft.
They got Devin Neal ahead of Ashton Gentry as well.
I don't know how. This dude was a Heisman Trophy candidate. He did good against the big-name people that he played against.
One time. He played at Boise State.
He played Oregon twice, though.
No, they played Oregon once.
Didn't they play him in the conference championship and they played him in regular season? Oregon beat him twice.
They didn't play him in the conference championship, I don't think. Yeah, that's crazy.
I just think, like we said earlier, you can't teach size. To get a running back, I don't know who its comparison would be. I'm trying to think of somebody that's 220 pounds. Derrick Henry's bigger than that, and Derrick Henry's taller than that. But I think Derrick Henry was 235, but 6'3" or something, right?
6'2", 220. That's like an Eddie George.
That's not a bad comparison. But I'm just trying to throw names out there that I think people can make some extra money and really increase their draft stock.
This is a different. I clicked on a different one. This one has Ashton Gentry. You got 5'9", 215.
And that 5'9" is the part that, I mean, that 215 is good for 5'9". But do you need height as a running back?
And this is a different one here. The Omarion Hampton, 6 feet, 220.
That's still 3 inches on Gentry.
Yeah, but this one has Gentry at 4'4", Omarion at 4'4". That means he holds it stronger. Then Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, 6 feet, 220.
He might have been the
225.
one that led the country. Did he win the Russian title, or did Gentry? Gentry did, but I heard about the kid from Iowa.
Then Trayvon Henderson,
That's the Ohio State kid.
5'10", 208, runs a 4.3.
And then his teammate.
Nope. Then Dylan Sampson from Tennessee, 5'11", 201, runs a 4.35. Running back Quinshawn Judkins from
Ohio State.
He's 6 feet, 219. And then the kid from Kansas, Devin Neal, he's 5'10", 220. And here's the one that got a lot of ink, a lot of TV time. Cam Scatbo, 5'11", 215, Iowa State.
I think he can be a piece in somebody's backfield. I don't think he can be the feature in somebody's backfield.
I don't think so either.
But like we compared what you guys did in Detroit, if he can be somebody's hammer, if you got somebody else's like scat back type.
Then this is
he can catch the ball as well.
Who there's other like after Scappa, there's two other guys, but
Dylan Sampson, favorite running back, huh? I didn't see him run enough.
Jordan James, kid from Oregon. He's 5'10", 210, runs a 4.4. And then this guy, Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, he was good. That's the top 12. Who did he say?
Dylan
Sampson. Did I say his name?
Yeah, from Tennessee.
Yeah.
But they threw so much with that young quarterback that I didn't see the running game featured as much. So I don't think he had as many opportunities to run as some of these other guys because they were pass dominant with that freshman quarterback they had last year.
In 2024, he had 258 attempts, 1,491 yards. That's 5.8 a carry, 22 TDs, 20 reception, 143 yards. It's not bad. But
Paul saying Dylan beat Bama. He must have had a great game against Bama when they played.
But he had 258, 5.8 yards a carry. That's not bad.
Oh, it is. And in that conference. Yeah, you were doing it against top competition every single day.
All right. Let's see what Ashton Gentry's.
There's got to be another position going tonight. I think the running backs, I think the offensive players go tomorrow, but it could be offensive linemen. But today was defensive linemen, but there's usually two positions a day.
Ashton Gentry, 374.
That's a lot of work. 374 carries.
2,600 yards.
12-game schedule.
2,600 yards.
Remember when
7 yards a carry, 29 times.
They said Dallas and Philly burned out that running back that played at Dallas that went to Philly. They kind of burned them out with all the carries. But that's what that. But they did that in a 16-game schedule, saying 300 and something carries. They burned them out.
Number
this
29.
guy, I can't remember his name. He was good.
He was number 29. He led the league in.
Yeah, he had a lot of carries 2-3 years in a row, and they said that took a toll. For a kid to be in college that only plays like 12 games and have 300 and something carries, that's a lot. But he's built strong. He didn't get hurt, but that's a lot of punishment to take in one season.
Omarion Hampton, 281 carries, 1,660 yards, so 15 TDs. He had 15, 15, and 6. That's 3 years for TDs.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I want to see how some of these physical stats we've seen, like you said, we've seen the game tape. We know what they're capable of. Some have done it against, the SEC competition. I got to give them a little check up over everybody else because of the level of competition they're doing it against every single week. The Big Ten, that's like my second most talented conference. So if you did well in any one of those two conferences, then I got confidence in you that you can do it on the pro level.
Cam Scatbo, 293 carries, 1,711 yards.
And he caught the ball a little bit too.
21 TDs, 45 receptions for 605 yards, 3 TDs. That's impressive numbers for this.
It is.
1,700 yards. That's pretty good for Mr. Scatbo.
Oh yeah. But I'm sure when we come back next week, we'll have seen the whole combines, and there's going to be some names that rise up that board. There might be a few that drop because you've already said, we know they exaggerate the heights a little bit to make them look better, but we're going to see the actual real deal. They're going to get measured on the field in stocking feet, and we're going to find out if Omarion Hampton is 6'2" or 6 feet because they list him at 6'2", and that's saying 6 feet.
6 feet.
They're all going to be measured, and that's going to play a difference. Quarterbacks, their hand size.
But honestly, in my opinion, whether you're 6 feet or 6'2",
As a
at the running back, it doesn't.
Maybe it gives you a little bit of vision, but I think the weight and the speed. Like,
yeah,
those guys that are 215, 220 pounds, they're going to be able to they're going to be able to run inside and outside and be able to absorb it. Now, if they can combine some speed with that as well.
Yeah, but the shit that impressed me is 23 miles an hour. If he can hit 23 miles an hour, that's faster.
I wasn't aware of that.
That's faster than a cheetah. That's faster than Gibbs. That's faster than everybody in the NFL. Nobody in the NFL hit 23 miles an hour this year. Nobody in the NFL hit 23 miles an hour last year. Gibbs wasn't even the fastest this year. Somebody else went 22, a little higher than 22, whatever Gibbs went. Oh, here we go. This is my guy right here, Mr. Khan.
But that first sentence.
We're talking football, not basketball, just so you know. The key to the system that these players get drafted into. The system and the overall structure and culture will be the determining factor of the success or failure of the draft.
You got to go to the right situation where you can be effective. Somebody needs a scrambling quarterback. That's how Jaden Daniels, but he was also able to throw the ball. But somebody just needs somebody who can read the field and make accurate passing. That's where Sanders might have the advantage. So it does make a difference on what a team needs or what they value as being more important than the other. If you got the offensive line that gives you the time, you can let Sanders sit back there and throw. If you don't have a great line like Washington last year, hey, now you got to account for him taking off and running. So that buys him a little time too.
But what's crazy is, like, at Colorado, Sanders didn't have a good offensive line.
He didn't, and he got sacked a lot.
He got sacked
and he didn't get to read the field, his second and third options like maybe some other quarterbacks did. He took a beating. He was one of the more sacked quarterbacks in college football.
Yes.
But he got himself up and went back there again and took some more. He never complained, but I would have liked to have seen him behind an offensive line that could really protect him. Unfortunately, if he goes at the top of the draft and the top 3 picks and there's no trade ups, that's Cleveland, Tennessee, or the Giants. No, Tennessee is number 1.
Tennessee, Cleveland, and Giants.
They're saying that Tennessee might take the kid Carter from So Tennessee or the Giants, I don't know if the Giants or Cleveland, they both need quarterbacks. Now, which one fits better in which system? Because the Giants don't have a good offensive line. So you might be better off with Cam Wood.
Neither does Cleveland.
But I think Cleveland's offensive line's a little bit better and I think they have a little bit better weapons at wide receiver now. The Giants have the rookie.
Nabis.
Yeah, they'd have to add somebody else or a nice tight end. I think they got a young tight end over there. But
I don't know.
Cleveland's got a tight end built in. They've got a couple of decent wide receivers over there.
Judy's still over there?
Yeah, Judy's over there.
Yeah,
he proved to have a pretty decent
year. Yeah, he had a good year.
Yeah. So
and with no quarterback.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but everybody will take notice of what happens this weekend. And like we said, some people stock is going to rise, and some people's stock is going to go down.
If you're Cleveland, do you trade Mac? Oh, not Mac. Whatever his name is, the running back there.
Chubb. I like the guy they got behind him that replaced him for the first half of the season. Yeah, Jerome Ford.
Yeah,
I think he's serviceable. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's shown me that he can at least hold it down, and you can still draft a running back in the 3rd round. But the money that Chubb makes, he makes like 13, 14 million. He's like one of the top 3 running backs. And he's had I love Chubb, but he
can't stay healthy.
But he's one hit away from his career being over. And I don't know if I want to invest that type of money in him.
I think his career should be over already. As a starter. I don't think he should be a starter.
which unless he takes a salary cut, then I can't see. I see he's an option to cut before the deadline.
Yeah.
Maybe you try to throw some feelers out there and say, hey, would anybody interested in trading for him? But I think Cleveland would have to eat some of that money, and that's going to be hard because they're going to be eating money under the Deshaun Watson contract.
They're gonna have to trade him for what, two knee braces, because think he's damaged goods now.
Exactly.
I don't know what can you get for him, but
we'll see what happens with that. But to move off the NFL real quick, I just wanted to touch upon what went down in women's basketball this past weekend. We have a new number one. The Texas Longhorns are now the new number one team. In a 2-week period, they beaten both South Carolina and
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame had just moved into the number one spot, and it was short-lived. But to me, it's not a knock against Notre Dame or South Carolina when they lost. These teams are playing tough schedules, and the parity in women's college basketball is unbelievable. The top 10 are all capable of knocking off. You got people like TCU at number 10 right now with Van Lith, and they got the big girl at center. You got North Carolina. We saw North Carolina State was the ones that upset Notre Dame this week, actually, not Texas. Texas had beat South Carolina, and then they beat somebody else good this week, LSU or somebody like that. But it was North Carolina State, and if you saw that game, that was one of the best regular season college games I've seen, men or women, by none. The big three of Notre Dame played well. North Carolina was not intimidated. The girl that played against Hannah Hidalgo in high school, they were rivals in high school, played with each other in AAU. She went berserk. She scored 30-something points. She was 12 for 12 from the free throw line. She made all her free throws in the clutch down the stretch. She was able to create her own shot and go at Hannah Hidalgo. Hidalgo had 26 points. Olivia Miles didn't play as well as I thought she could have. Sonia Citron played really, really well. And did you see the shot she hit to send it into overtime? It seemed that there's so much attention on Miles and so much attention on Hidalgo. To have the luxury of having Sonia Citron as your number 3, and she hit a contested 3 to send it into overtime. I thought that was a dagger. I said, that's going to take the hot out of North Carolina State.
Yeah.
But North Carolina State's backcourt was very, very tough. They played well. Like the girl Rivers, and then they had but they had a 3-headed monster themselves, and they played at home. And their coach is a veteran coach. They weren't intimidated. The moment didn't get too big for them. And they were able to stand tall and outlast Notre Dame. And now they're in the top 10. I think North Carolina is like 8, and North Carolina State might be 10. And I think TCU is sandwiched in at 9. But you look at the teams now with Texas, UCLA, USC, Lady UConn team is playing well. There's nothing but quality. I haven't seen this level of quality teams.
Caught on South Carolina.
Yeah, I thought I mentioned it, but maybe I didn't. But yeah, because you got Texas, UCLA, USC, South Carolina, UConn, and then you got the second half of you still got the LSUs, and Kentucky is now up there. They got the God Amore. She's playing well. There's just so much. Yeah, the parity. And it's the same thing in men's basketball too, but we've seen parity before in men's basketball. I'm used to only seeing like the Tennessees and UConns, or when Baylor had Brittany Griner and all them. We knew who the top 2 or 3 teams were every year. There wasn't going to be much of a surprise. Last year started it, but this year it's so much better. Mike, would you say that's attributed to the girls can't go hardship, so the talent stays longer?
I wouldn't say, like, he's saying it's way more interesting than the men's. I don't know, man. That, like, this year, if you notice, it's the top 10 has been like different teams. Like, It's not. We don't have the Kentuckys, the
Yeah.
Dukes,
The regular blue bloods
yeah,
that dominated for years
the
and
North
years and
Carolina.
years.
No, it's totally different. I'm liking it. This is going to make the final.
Auburn is one of the
brackets.
consensus number 1 teams. Florida just lost this week. They were number 3.
They're still going to be in the.
They're still
they're going to have a number 1 seed.
Duke was sandwiched in at number 2. But then we
Then
talked last week. All the SEC
Duke
teams
lost last week.
Duke lost last week.
Yeah, it's. I think men's basketball is going to be very, very interesting this year.
Mike, I think one of the things we have the luxury of this year in college sports is the parity is there in both the men's and women's side. My question is, I've seen parity in the men's side a little more, but in the women's, it's always the same 2 or 3 giants that dominate. And the other teams are also rans. But there's 10 teams for the first time in my lifetime. There's 10 quality women's teams that all have a legit claim at beating the number 1 team. What North Carolina State did. North Carolina State was number 12 or 13 before they beat North Carolina. Before they beat Notre Dame this week. Notre Dame has beaten everybody big out there this year. They got wins over USC and UConn, and I think they beat Texas.
Let's see who the top 25 is.
Men's,
women's. We have Texas, 26-2, UCLA, 26-1, Notre Dame, 24-3, USC, 25-2, UConn at number 5, 26-3. South Carolina, number 6, 25-3. LSU at 7, 27-2. North Carolina, 8, 25-4. NC State, 9, 22-5.
Mm-hmm.
TCU,
right?
26.
So who's on the cusp? Is there? Do you have it? Like who's after that?
Tennessee, 21-6.
Tennessee's a good squad.
The sleeper in my eyes, Ohio State, 23-4. Then you got Oklahoma, 21-6. Kansas State, 24-5. Kentucky, 21-5.
Kentucky got that guy or more, the point guard.
Duke at 16, 21-7. Baylor at 17, 24-5.
But you know why Duke and them got a lot of losses? Because you know who's in the ACC in basketball? Notre Dame. North Carolina State.
Yeah.
We give all the credit to the SEC, but the ACC is very competitive this year. There's a lot of good teams that.
I'm not sure if Louisville's still in the ACC or not, but
I think they are.
All right, so this is the ACC teams in the top 25. Louisville at 25. Florida State is in the ACC at 24. Maryland still in the ACC? No,
they're in the Big Ten now.
Right.
Michigan and all them.
Duke at 21-7.
Yep.
At 16.
North Carolina State, Duke,
Notre
Dame. Florida State, who plays Notre Dame tonight on ESPN.
NC State.
You got the leading scorer in the country.
NC State at 9. North Carolina at 8.
And I thought Florida State was ranked number 25. I thought I saw an advertisement.
Notre Dame at number 3.
Notre Dame plays Florida State today, and they got the number 1 scorer in the country.
They got them at 24 in this.
All right, yeah. I just knew they were in the top 25.
Louisville at 25.
Mike, I agree, and I think that all started last year with Caitlin Clark taking the ride she took Iowa on, but South Carolina always being there, and we got to see the emergence of Juju Watkins, and UCLA was good. But this year, everybody but Caitlin Clark is back. Everybody but – that's what I love about not being able to go hardship early on. We got all these impact freshmen and sophomores, Hannah Hidalgo. The only one that can come out this year is Olivia Miles. Lauren Betts already said she's staying. The women's game is going to be even better next year because there's not that many of their stars leaving.
Hey, last week, Ohio State, they got them at 12 right now. They must have lost because they were number 8 last week. So that Ohio State's going to be good.
Yeah.
You got Tennessee at 11.
And you know something? Right now, all of college basketball. Let me see, Mike Kahn, let me see what you know about this. I know you are. I'm just messing with you. I know. Aaliyah Chavez is undecided, the number 1 rated female basketball player. And on her list right now she's down to like 4. It's Texas Tech, because that's her hometown team. University of Texas. Can you imagine her to go to play with Madison Booker? UCLA, go join Lauren Betts and all those girls over there. They're not losing anybody. And I'm trying to think who the other team is, but Aaliyah Chavez is unquestionably the #1 rated crown jewel of high school basketball and women right now. And she's going to join one of she could make Texas Tech, because Van Lith is leaving. Oh no, Van Lith's at TCU, right?
Yep.
So I don't know if it's Texas Tech or TCU that she was looking at, but if you look up Aaliyah Chavez and who her final schools are, but there's a number of other girls right behind her. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, those girls, most of those girls that we mentioned, Juju and all them, they're going to still be there next year. And there's going to be another influx of talented freshmen that are going to make some of these middle of the road franchise even, elevate their standing to top ranked teams. Who has Aaliyah Chavez dwindled down her college choices to? The nation's #1 rated female basketball player sets commitment date. But where? Okay, she's down to 4 schools: Texas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and South Carolina. So UCLA is off that list. She was considering UCLA at one time. But I've seen some people and some scouts saying,
sounds like she wants to stay in the South.
Texas Tech or Oklahoma, because she has a chance to be the show at one of those 2 schools. If she goes to South Carolina, we know that's a system thing. That's like, you never see anybody go to South Carolina that's going to average like 25 a game or something. She's not going to have that type of freedom, because you got a Malaysia Full Wiley and some other great talented players that the Watkins girl that hurt her knee. There's a lot of talent there. She's not going to dominate there. So I don't think she's going to really consider them as strong as, and if she goes to Texas, Madison Book is still there. Ronnie Harmon's still there. I think it's going to come down to Texas Tech or Oklahoma, with Texas Tech being the closest to her hometown. She can be the hometown girl that she'll be the big show at Texas Tech, whereas at Texas, she has to fit into a system as well. So I don't know, but also on the women's note, I want a big shout out to Diana Taurasi. She decided to finally retire. She's been one of the greatest college and pro basketball players. She's done so much for the game of women's basketball. 42 years old. I believe that too, Mike Kahn. She announced this week that she's finally given it up. She said she didn't know, and the only reason she waited so late is, she says, when training camp starts, I'll know when it's time. When training camp started, she didn't look forward to like getting in shape and getting ready. It's time. And I think with Sue Bird retiring last year and them being so close, Sue Bird was 1 year ahead of her in college. She retired 1 year ahead of her. And I think she might have had some influence on her, saying, hey, when it came, Sue Bird did the same thing. I wasn't sure if I was going to come back, but when it came time to get ready for a season, I just didn't have that desire in my heart. And I said, once I don't have that burning desire, but thank you, Diana Taurasi, for what you contributed to both college and women's professional basketball. You were definitely one of the pioneers that helped elevate it to where it got to now. So, good luck in your next endeavor. I think she's going to probably become an announcer. I think she has that personality, that outspokenness. I think we'll see her on TV announcing some women's college basketball, or maybe WNBA basketball. Probably WNBA basketball.
Is she the most?
She's the all-time leading scorer in the WNBA history.
That's what I was.
She reminds me of LeBron James. You're 42 years old. You played a lot of years. Had the most incredible, yeah. And she stayed at the top of her game, and she stayed injury-free. She reminds me of the female version of LeBron, except there was no game management. She played her heart out as long as she could. She was always top level. When she was in college, I had the luxury of, when I lived in Connecticut, I got to see her play live a couple of times. I never saw a more dominant person. People will argue about Breanna Stewart when she was, because she won 4 championships, but I would probably take a primetime Diana Taurasi over a primetime Breanna Stewart.
I think she did more. She could.
Yeah. she had the ball in her hands a lot more. Breanna Stewart, somebody had to get her the ball. And I'm not taking nothing away from the greatness of Breanna Stewart, but when I saw Diana Taurasi play every day when I was in Connecticut, and she played the first year with Sue Bird, and she was dominant from freshman year to senior year. The moment was never too big. She was just so confident. She was so clutch. When a big shot needed to be taken, she'd get it. When a big play needed it, she was always involved. But I've never seen somebody who was a leader and dominant. She made everybody around her better. So it's going to be sad to let her go, but I think it's time that that she moves on. And
Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah, exactly. But but it's 10 past 8, people. I want to get home and see that Notre Dame versus Florida State game tonight. D-Con, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here tonight?
No, but I think you do.
In the way of?
Don't you have a...
Oh, outside of sports. In March 14th, Friday, March 14th, we'll be celebrating our very own leader, B-Mag's birthday as part of the WMB1 comedy series going down at the Whaler Inn and Suites over on Hathaway Road in New Bedford, Mass. We got a hell of a headliner with my man A.G. White coming down. He's going to be headlining the show. Google him if you're not familiar. Household name. He's worth the price of admission all by himself. We also have my man Rob Santos coming in the feature. He just released his TV series just released called Beige. It's the story of being half black and half Spanish. You can check it out on Fox Soul. And of course, we got our resident host. Who might that be?
Mr. Tab.
Mr. Chris Tab.
Mr. Tab's in the building.
Never fails to deliver. Very, very talented brother. I look forward to seeing. So those three all on one show is going to be a hell of it. And if you've never come out and supported before, this is the time you want to come out. B-Mag shows a lot of love and support to a lot of people on a personal level and a business level. It'd be nice if you guys can return it this time. Friends, family. I know people get busy. I know there's a lot of things to do, but this is the one time I'd like to see people come out and come together. Find a reason to get yourself there for this one show. If you can't make any other show the rest of the year, we have a hell of a lineup, and we're celebrating B-Mag's birthday. And I know B-Mags has supported us and everybody around us as much as he can. So let's get out there and support him on Friday the 14th. All right. So tickets are online at WMB1.com, or you can always call my number that's on the flyer. And we have no problem delivering tickets to you. That's the best $25 you could ever spend. I promise that once you come, you're going to enjoy it and you're going to want to return and see more shows. But come on out and support our man B-Mag's birthday party. All right. So on that note, I think we're ready to get out of here. And, we'll have some more sports news for you next Thursday. Thanks for tuning in tonight, people.
Peace.